Good morning. We're here for another interview, and we're very excited about this guest. We actually found her on TikTok, where she has a large following and just is very open about adoption and foster care and her journey. And we'd like to introduce Mikayla.
Hi, thank you guys for having me.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much for being here. Really nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's been nice meeting you guys too, virtually.
Yeah, virtually. Seems
Yeah,
to be the ways of the world now.
the ways of the world. And we've enjoyed like just your TikToks and your story. So
Thank you.
why don't you start?
Um, okay, so sometimes I'm like, where do I start? Okay, so I was actually born in jail, which is why I was telling you guys before we started the interview that I was in Jefferson City when I was born. That was why. My mom was incarcerated, and I I don't know if I'm getting this story correct, but from what I believe I was told, like everyone's telling me different things. She, her like cellmate had someone to pick up her daughter. So it was a women's prison. Like she was also in the same cell as someone else who was pregnant, and someone was coming to pick up her cellmate's baby until she could get out of prison, obviously. And apparently, my mom was like, "I don't know who's gonna watch my like who's gonna take my baby." And her cellmate was like, "My sister will take her." So her sister came and got me, and she raised me the first few years of my life. I don't
With
know.
with the other baby?
I don't know. No, I don't think she took the other baby. So I'm very confused about the whole situation. Like I was like, why didn't your sister take your baby? I don't know. I don't really quite understand it, but that is what I was told happened. And so that's how I ended up with Connie. I don't know if you guys saw that segment of stories on my TikTok.
Yeah.
No, just tell everybody like it's the first time people are hearing your story. So
Yeah, so Connie was the first person I like knew as my family. I saw my mom off and on throughout my childhood. My siblings were with my grandparents. So I saw my siblings as well. I knew my real family. I knew their names. I knew everything about them. However, my grandparents were older. My grandma was not doing well with diabetes. And so another child was a lot to take on, which is why I was with Connie instead of with my grandparents. They already had 3 of my mother's children. However, a situation happened in Connie's home. Her husband, I'm like not sure how much I should share of this. Her husband did something he shouldn't have to her daughter. So that's all I'm going to say, because I don't know who's going to see this, but that ended up in a situation where I had to be removed from the home. And they were the only family I knew. So I apparently told Connie before I left them, I will do whatever it takes to make it back to you guys. And she didn't tell me that until I was 23 years old. So that's a big piece of this puzzle, because I think that was like a mentally just damaging part of something that happened to me. And it set the precedent for how I acted for years and years to come. And I never understood why I acted the way I did. But yeah, I developed behavioral issues, basically thinking it would make me get returned to my family.
how old were you at this point?
I think I was 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from there, I got sent to my aunt. My sisters told me that since my grandparents couldn't take me, they just wanted to keep me in the family. They were going to put me in foster care. And my grandma was like, well, like, what happens if I can like find someone in the family who takes her? So my aunt took me. She lives in Atlanta. So I said I was born and raised in St. Louis. I did do a brief stint in Atlanta. However, behavioral issues, my aunt couldn't handle them. But instead of telling anyone in my family that she couldn't handle me and that she didn't want to do this any longer, she brought me back to St. Louis and put me in the foster care system without telling anyone.
Oh God.
And where was your mom still incarcerated?
I think she was kind of incarcerated on and off. She had two more children after me. So that's why, and I knew that's like there was other kids, and I knew my sister, like I remember my sisters all being together, and I was like, why did I get separated? Like what happened? And they told me like later on that my aunt did that and that they couldn't find me because after they put me in foster, she didn't tell them that she did that. So it was like years later, they're like, where's Kayla? Where's Kayla? And like, then she finally admitted that she brought me back to St. Louis.
This is your mother's sister?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, and she had the power to do that, you know.
And that's why I'm wondering now, because I see like now doing my own research into like all the stories of when the system failed kids. Like, why couldn't this person take a white? There's so much. Was it yellow tape, red tape?
Mm-hmm, red tape, yeah.
Around what you can and can't do. So I'm very confused on how a lot of this happened. But this is what I'm being told, and I mean, I have to take everyone's word for it because my memory isn't the best.
What year? Yeah, I mean, trauma will help erase your memory for sure. I have the same issue. What year was this? Like the 90s?
This should have been around like 1999,
okay.
98, 99. So after I came back to St. Louis, I think I went to maybe 1 or 2 foster homes, maybe like emergency care or something like that. But then I quickly was put in custody with a family that adopted me.
So Connie never adopted you?
No, she wanted to, but she never got to.
Okay.
And did Connie know where you were at this point or no?
I don't think she knew.
Mm-hmm.
And I can explain that later why, like, I'm pretty sure she didn't know. But yeah, and I'm sorry if this is like really confusing. I tried to like write down the timeline. I'm like, this is hazy.
You can do what you can do. So this other family actually adopts you, and you are now at this age 6 or so?
Yeah, I'm like 5 or 6 because I remember starting first grade with this family.
Okay.
I did kindergarten while I was in Atlanta. I started first grade, so that helps me kind of remember the timeline. So at this point, I was in Webster Groves, where like kind of close where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I love the family, but I guess I still had the behavioral issues, and the mother had mental issues as well. From what I can understand now is maybe like a multiple personality disorder.
Oh.
She bought toys for children that were in her head. So I would see all these toys and I would ask if I could play with them. She's like, no, like that's for, and would tell me like some name that a kid I never heard before.
Was this a white family?
Mm-hmm.
And were you their only child at this point?
They had 2 other children, which I think one of them might have been biological and the other one was adopted. If not, they were both adopted.
And they were older than you?
Mm-hmm. They were like teens.
Okay.
So, the father was older, and then the mother had mental issues. And I just think I was too much for them, that they didn't really realize what they were taking on when they adopted me. So I just remember a meeting one day that I was a part of for whatever reason. And I didn't understand what the meeting was. And I was like, why are my caseworkers here? And they were just sitting down talking about how they could not take care of me anymore. And I was really young, but I knew what was happening. Like I'm like,
in front of you, they're saying this.
Yeah, I was like, I'm about to get uprooted again. Like I have to leave. And so that was like heartbreaking.
And it must have been really scary and
terrifying. And I mean, I don't really know how I handled it at first. I remember there was a blanket that they gave me. I had this like Winnie the Pooh blanket with them. It was like my security blanket. And I tried to take it everywhere with me. And I just remember it being in like a trash bag. Sorry, I'm going to cry. It was in a trash bag. My stuff was always in trash bags.
Oh my God.
Going place to place. And I was always like, where's my blanket? Where's my blanket? And it got lost eventually. And I was so sad because like that was all I had from them, like my new family. So I went into foster care after that again. And then I was just like home to home to home. Eventually I went to a children's home, hated it.
Yeah.
A girl ran away one day and I was like, I wish I could run away too. But I was too scared because I was like, where would I go? What would I eat? I remember in some of the homes, I was literally eating food out of trash cans because I was starving. Like one of the homes, she didn't feed us. That's why I like when people are like, foster care is always an option. I'm like, you don't know
No,
what's going on.
yeah.
No.
Sorry. You don't know what's going on in some of those homes. Like one of the homes, her punishment was, and I don't even remember what we did. Like there was a few other kids. She would lock us in a room. The doorknob wasn't on, so we couldn't get out. I remember we did have a few toys. There was no actual bed though. There was like cots. There was like a little toy cup that I would literally spit in. I mean, like, I can't believe I'm sharing this. I would spit in it and drink it because I was so thirsty.
Oh God,
Mikayla.
Mikayla.
And then I don't know how I figured out how to get out, but when I got out and I just remember eating food from a trash can, there was like a stale piece of bread that I was eating and it tasted disgusting. And like now to this day, like I'll eat something and it like brings back that like
Memory.
taste of that. Yeah, it's like little things like that that'll literally bring me to my knees on a daily basis. Because I'm a well-adjusted adult now. Like I should be past these things, but
I don't know that you'll.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. Some of these things like stick with you. So then I had another home I went to. And like these are two of the worst that I can remember. I was older at this point, probably 9. She was so violent. Like the littlest things could set her off, where I was being hit all the time.
Why did they move you randomly from home to home? Did
I
they find out about the other home or?
Yeah, it would be like the home couldn't take care of me anymore. They would remove me the home because I hope that someone finally realized what was going on in that other home that I told you about.
I know.
Because
that's what I was wondering, if someone reported it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I tried to tell my caseworker. I don't know. I feel like I was there longer than I should have been if they really listened to me. Like when I was saying that, like,
you're not eating.
Yeah, we're not eating. It was either her son or maybe another foster kid was coming in our room at night. Another thing I barely remember, but I just remember the door opening and then
that's
blacking out.
Yeah.
So I can assume what happened, but
right.
Just like terrible things in that home. So yeah, I did leave eventually.
How long were you there? Do you remember? Like months?
I couldn't tell you. I have no idea how long I was there, but I know it was longer than it should have been because I remember I'm a lot of things, but I am pretty like straightforward. I'm pretty vocal about like if I see something wrong's happening. I probably wasn't the kid that was just gonna be like, oh yeah, this is fine. Like this is normal, right? So I was confused on why I was there for so long.
Yeah.
When I was telling them like, hey, this is.
Have you ever had a chance to meet those caseworkers again as an adult? No.
Mm-mm. I've tried to contact one of them that I can remember, and she's like MIA. My parents, my now adopted parents, told me that they like always had like an issue with her communicating, and she's the only one I can remember. I don't know like where my files are. Like I don't know how to access like who. Yeah.
I bet there's resources out there somehow. I'd love to help you with that if I could somehow.
And maybe someone hearing this will know, something that could help you.
Yeah. And this wasn't that long ago, these harrowing stories have been around, you kind of think, oh, things are modern and people communicate, but the fact that this was 20 years ago, and it's still going on.
It is.
Right.
The system is so beyond broken and it needs such repair. I don't.
And I hear about stories far worse than mine every day. And I just wonder how the system is failing this hard, like failing these kids. And like all the evidence can be there. But like I said, there's all this tape around what you can't do. But I was like, we need to get kids out. while you have a chance. The next family I was telling you about, it was like one of the times where I was like, I'm so lucky the system did do its job. She was just, like I said, she was very violent, and sorry if you guys hear my kids.
No,
that's okay.
It's a nice sound.
It's joyful to hear your child.
Yeah.
So just, I remember like being backed into corners, just like her with a belt all the time. Littlest things could set her off. I'm not saying I was an angel by any means, but I just know I didn't deserve that.
No.
And I was coming to day camp. I went to a YMCA day camp at the time, and I was coming to day camp with bruises. And I remember one day the counselors like pulled me aside and were like, what, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And I was just like, no, my mom hits me all the time. And they're like, your mom? I was like, well, she's my foster mom, but like she hits me all the time and I'm scared of her. They called the police, and
Good
I don't know
for
if
them.
it was that day. The next day, I just remember two police cars and a caseworker coming to pick me up from day camp.
Good for them.
And they got my stuff and got me out of there. And I was like, thank you.
It takes adults to notice and to care and to follow through.
Yeah. So I remember her name, well, like, I don't remember her name, but they had like cool names at the day camp. Her name was Tiger. And so I asked on Instagram like years ago, I'm like, does anyone know? Like, she must have been in this area. She worked at this day camp. Do we know who she is? Because I just want to tell her thank you, because she might have saved my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, never found her, but I still hope that one day I will.
I like her name was Tiger.
Yeah.
The strength of that.
What a good name. Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Fitting name.
But yeah, so I think after that was actually the children's home. And then I got sent to who is now my adopted parents. And I remember it was like such a cool home to me because they had adopted 9 kids. So I came there and I knew my mom took interest in me. She was talking to me and asked me about my story, and I told her what I knew. I apparently told her some things that weren't true. I fabricated some things. I don't know why I did that, but like, we know, like, we talked about it now. I'm like, those things weren't true. But she let me go. She's like, she had so many kids coming in and out of the door that I don't really know what it was, but something was meant to be, because I went to maybe one other like emergency care home, and then I came back to them, and I think I was supposed to be emergency care with them too. And then they were like, do you mind keeping her for a few more days? And they said, yeah. Then it turned into a week, and then it turned into just me being their foster child. And she still kept on talking to me about like my story. And I was like, do these people want to adopt me? And I was so excited.
How old were you at this point?
I was 11. Yeah. So, one day they sat, down with the family, all 9 of their other children. 2 of them were really young at the time, so I'm sure they didn't understand what was happening, but they asked the family if they wanted to adopt me. And a lot of my siblings actually said no, but still, regardless, they adopted me, and I was adopted for good in August of 2006. And I was a month away from being 12 at that time. So that should have been like my happily ever after. And don't get me wrong, I am so grateful, but like, there was still a lot to work through. Like,
oh, I'm sure.
Of course.
As an older kid who remembers so much and has already gone through so much, was hard. I had to figure out how to integrate into the family. I had to deal with siblings who didn't really necessarily like me.
Were any of those siblings their biological kids, or was everybody adopted?
They have 1 biological child. 2 are their biological niece and nephew that they adopted from my mom's brother. And yeah, the rest of them are children they had in foster care.
They adopted from your mom's brother?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, isn't that super funny?
No, not your biological mom, your adoptive mom's brother, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, do you have any thoughts about, like, did they change your name? Not your first name, but you took on a new last name and
we actually changed both. So
you did.
When I came there, I knew one of my sisters, her name was Nicole before she was adopted, and they changed her name to Nicolette. So I wanted something like that. Like I was like, oh, I want a new name. My name choice was Katrina. I don't know where it came from, why.
Well, it was right around the time of Hurricane Katrina.
It was. And I was like, thank God they didn't let me do that. But my mom, I think she was fully prepared to let me change my name to whatever I wanted. But she was like, don't you think that's going to be a little hard to just go by a whole new name? And
guiding you with it. Yeah.
Like that would be very weird to just all of a sudden be someone else. So my name was Kayla before, and I just changed it to Mikayla.
Okay.
Now, do you, because we talk a lot about this, about how do you feel about doing that? Like now in retrospect and looking back, like you had this whole life, you had an identity, like, are there other solutions to full on changing someone's identity and maybe just legal guardianship, just in case later a biological family can get it together? And do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah, I get what you're asking. I think there are other solutions. It's what I wanted at the time, and I don't regret that now, but it did hinder my family being able to find me because later on I found out that they tried.
They've been looking
so hard to find me, but they couldn't find me. My name when I was born was Kayla, but with like K-A apostrophe A-Y-L-A. And then once I was adopted the first time, they dropped the like second A in the apostrophe, and I was just Kayla. And then I got adopted again and changed it to Mikayla. So it just got harder and harder for them to ever find out where I was.
And how did you have reconnected with them? So how did that go? Like, how did you find them? And
so it was, like I told you guys earlier, I knew their names. I knew everyone's names. So I found them once, like just with like a Google search. I was just, I don't know. I found like one of their names, and then I saw it was like possible relatives, this, and this. I'm like, oh, these are them. So I tried to find her on Facebook, my biological mom, and nothing was like coming up. I knew what age she was when she had me. The ages weren't like quite matching up, and I just was like, I guess maybe she's not on Facebook. And I didn't know what to do with the information on Google. I was like pretty young at the time. I'm like, do I like sending a letter didn't dawn upon me, like nothing. I don't know. I just didn't know what to do with the information. So I kind of let it go for a while. And then years later, I found something on Facebook that was saying like, watch out, like your family's information could be on here. And so I went to the website and I like put in my family's information, like my adopted family. I'm like, oh my God, we're all on here. So I sent it all to my family. I'm like, make sure you guys like get this information off of here so like people can't find your information. I'm like, wait a second. So I did it again where I like put in my biological family's information, and I found all of them again, like where they're at. And I was like, okay, I see what their names are. Like I'll try just searching for them on Facebook. And somehow like this time I found one that seemed like it would be my mom. I like looked at her facial features. I think I saw like her birth date on there, and I was like, this seems like it's right. So I sent the most awkward message of my life via Facebook, like, hey, I think I'm your daughter. Do you think so?
Yes, it's ringing a bell. Yeah.
And that was so like nerve-wracking to wait for her message. And she asked me what my birth date was when she messaged me back. And I told her, and she goes, oh my God, you're my daughter. And I was like, I just found my biological mother on Facebook. So immediately she got me on a call with my biological sisters, and we all just, I don't know if there was like actual tears, but I just can't tell you what came over me that day to hear their voices, to hear how they've been looking for me for years and years to find me.
Mikayla.
And to like, I was like, how did I get lost? Like, why are you guys together? And then they told me about my aunt. Just to know that I was like wanted all those years.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I thought like maybe no one cared about me, or I don't know, like I was like the ugly duckling sibling. I don't know. You never like, you just
they've
have
been
years
looking
and years to wonder. You don't know what the situation is, but they had been looking the entire time. And so we tried to pick up, you know, where we left off with that 20 years of difference between me and this family. Like, I haven't been able to figure out how to integrate with them. So I don't really talk to them this anymore, but like to know that they're here is nice.
Yeah. And did you get together with them in person or anything like that?
Yeah, I met my nieces and nephews. We got together in person. They were invited to they came to my bridal shower. Oh. My biological mom has met my oldest son. And my siblings have met him. They haven't met my daughter yet. Kind of like fell off, like I said. Like I don't know. I think that they think maybe I don't try. I don't. It's not because I don't want to. It's just because I don't know what I'm doing. Like, it's such an awkward situation to be in that I kind of just avoid it in general.
Yeah. Reunion can be awkward and very difficult.
So it's really not my favorite feeling.
Yeah.
Did your biological mom get her life together?
I mean, I think she's sober, which is good. I don't really know what she's doing like otherwise. She very lightly acknowledged what she put me through. So like, I guess I kind of have a little bit of closure there of like her knowing that like her decisions set this whole series of events in my life. She lightly acknowledged it, just saying kind of for one moment that she felt bad, but otherwise, like, I don't really know. I don't get a lot from her. So I don't know what she's feeling, what she's thinking, what she's doing with her life. But yeah.
And do you know who your father is?
Yeah, unfortunately, he died like 8 months before I found them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was another situation because there was no father on my birth certificate. I was like, who is my father? And my biological mom actually married my father. So she had children. She had 6 children, all had different fathers, but she married my father. And I found out like he had been looking for me too. He tried so hard. After my mom was incarcerated, he was in the military at the time. So he was gone. And then he found out that she had a baby, and he's like, where is she?
And he had been looking as well.
He had been looking as well. And my sister was the one who told me that. She's like, I think our mom was a little embarrassed because she didn't even know where you were at. And she had no answers for him. So yeah, that was really sad. He died never knowing where I was, but I got connected with his kids too. So now I know my siblings on his side as well.
Oh.
And were you their only child together?
Mm-hmm.
And are you close to those siblings?
I was just going to ask.
Mm-mm.
No.
I haven't met them yet. So I haven't met the siblings we keep on saying like, because we've always put on social media, like we'll get together, and you know, like how that goes where you're like, we'll get together sometime and you don't actually make plans, but I will make a conscious effort one of these days to get to know them.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is a lot. Like there's a lot of siblings. There's a lot of things happening. I have my own family. I'm really busy.
Your own small kids. Yeah.
Whenever I think of like sitting down to like kind of do something that makes me uncomfortable, it isn't like the first thing I want to do, obviously. So I haven't prioritized it.
And I see on TikTok too, you're very into being just a wonderful mother right now so that your children have a great experience. And it's a lot of time. I mean,
yeah,
it's a lot of your efforts.
Yeah.
So you going back to you get adopted into the family, and did that turn out to be a good experience?
I will say that I think I'm very grateful for it because I don't want to know what it would have been like to age out of the foster care system and not have anyone at all. But I am a little jaded by the whole experience of it's just, there was a lot of other kids who've had a lot of other different life experiences. We didn't fully get to grow up together. And I just wish I had that like sibling bond with someone. I wanted, like, it was so cool to say I have like 9 siblings, but to not be close to any of them.
Yeah.
Like now I talk to a few of them and I would consider us like close-ish, but it doesn't feel like the sibling bond that I know like most of my friends have. Or I just also, like, I've acknowledged this, and I was talking about it with my my mom the other day, that she was also really broken when she decided to have this many kids. And the hurt people kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
She hurt me a lot growing up, like just so many things that she said, so many things that she did. And I know now she was doing her best. So I've made peace with that and I've accepted it. And I have tried to move away from saying forgiveness, because forgiveness kind of puts you above someone. So acceptance is like the best thing that I can do, is say, I accept what happened, and I accept that she apologized to me, and I accept that she did her best in that moment, because like now I'm a mother. I understand, like, there's days where I'm not perfect. And I think about, is my kid going to look back on this and be like, she was doing this all the time and that traumatized me?
Yeah.
So I try to give my mom the same grace that I hope my children give me.
And just her apology is large, I'm sure, for you.
Very large. Because like that was something we really struggled with growing up, is like, I feel like the generation didn't apologize. I apologize to my kid all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I did something the other day and I was like, I shouldn't have done that. I am so, so sorry. And he's 2. He doesn't care. He's like, whatever. But at least if I start that habit now, I will, hopefully it'll become natural to me to always apologize to him when I'm doing something wrong. But apologies weren't a thing. And I just think there were so many things growing up that, like, after foster care and all those things, that I needed just like a safe space. And I don't feel like my family was always that safe space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a long time, that you had 12 years not knowing them, and there's so much. And so how did you become who you are now? I mean, clearly you have resilience and strength. What happened? You turn 18. What was your life path? How did you end up with 2 kids? And are you married? And do you find being close to someone easy or difficult?
I am married, and that was probably the biggest hindrance for me getting married, is I had no clue how to allow myself to be, like, not loved, but because I think being loved was fine. It was a little uncomfortable. I was like, oh my God, like, but it was like the affection, like when you're in foster care, no one feels very comfortable being close to you and like kisses you good night. No one's reading you bedtime stories. And then once I was adopted, I was 12, and this is another thing me and my mom talked about. She didn't know how to be affectionate to me. She's like, it was awkward. It's easier when you're a kid.
A little kid.
Yeah, a little kid, but I didn't know what to do. And again, another thing, I'm accepting that would be awkward. Like, I don't know if I would have done a better job if I was in the same position, but she didn't show me affection. And so I struggled with it. So my husband now, he grew up with a wonderful mother. Like, my mother-in-law is an angel sent from heaven. So he grew up with his parents are divorced, but a very normal childhood otherwise, with a really loving mother. So that was his love. That's his attachment style. Like, he is very affectionate, and I almost broke up with him because of it. I was like, I don't think I can do this. But I just kind of communicated with him constantly and told him what I was thinking, what I was feeling, my history, what I needed from him. And he respected my boundaries. And so I slowly got to kind of learn what a relationship should be like. Now we have 2 kids. I have a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month-old. And I think that my decision to have children was a little bit selfish because I wanted to, right the wrongs or, be the parent I never
have
had.
that connection too with somebody.
Though. Yeah. I always wanted to be a parent.
Yeah.
Period. But like also just thinking about like, this was my opportunity to give someone like what I didn't have. Now I'm like, oh, okay. Like that makes a lot of sense. But, I don't find it hard to be affectionate towards them. Obviously, they are babies, little kids, but I just knew before having them that I had to deep dive into some of the things that were happening. Like next door to us, there is a family that I'm pretty sure is a foster family, and I saw a caseworker come to their house, and I started crying.
Just seeing it
come to their house. I started crying. And it was just little things like that made me realize like maybe I'm not as well adjusted as I thought. So
it takes years and years and years and you still won't be.
Yeah. And I haven't gone to therapy again. I went to therapy a lot as a kid. So that I guess that's why I've been kind of like I didn't want to go again as an adult. But oddly enough, TikTok is what helped me. Like there's so many therapists on there, people who know things about trauma, who helped me realize where my trauma was rooting from and how I could cope with it and how to move forward to make sure that I'm not passing these things on to my children, the breaking generational curses, basically.
Yeah. Yes.
So I will attribute a lot of who I am today to TikTok or Instagram too, because I feel like I follow like a lot of like psychologists, therapists, and stuff like that on there too. And I read these things and I just soak up all the information to kind of try to make me a better person, without going to therapy. But I'm not against therapy at all. I'm just against the price of it.
Isn't it amazing to the social media connections we can have? I mean, that just even how we met you the same way.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I've met a wide variety of like amazing people through it, and the things we have access to, the information, the people, the resources, it's incredible. I think social media gets a bad rap, and rightfully so in some regards, but you can use it for good.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think your story is definitely going to touch people. Wow. I mean, it's just, and your strength and inner beauty. And really, I just can't, what you've been through and where you have come and where you are, and you're in a marriage with kids. I mean, it's like you've beaten the odds. You really have.
I did not think I was going to end up here. There was lots of nights where I sat there and I was like, I am always going to be alone. Like it's always just going to be me. And I had such bad, like abandonment issues.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still here. That's why I think I feel so like sad. Like whenever I have an event, like my family wasn't involved with a lot of the stuff with like our marriage, our baby showers, our this, that, the other thing. Like I remember the sprinkle for my daughter. No one person in my family showed up, and I started crying, and I was like, why am I crying over this? Like I kind of knew they weren't going to come. And I think that I realized it was like the old womb of feeling always abandoned was opened back up. So, like the abandonment issues might always be there. But I just, get by like learning what I can about myself and about others and educating others, and knowing that despite everything, I built something for myself, and I'm doing the best job that I can.
Yeah.
Maintain healthier relationships now.
And do you have
and you're close to your husband's family?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Mm-hmm. The community.
Yeah. Good. That's great. Yeah. Oh, Mikayla, this has been amazing.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't talk too long.
Oh my gosh, not at all.
I feel like I ramble when I tell the story because I don't know where the story is going. So it
actually was really well told and put together. I'm very touched.
Really moving.
Mm-hmm.
Very moving. And I hope anybody listening can help find Tiger and some of your caseworkers and really be.
Tiger.
really be great. I mean, it's putting together the pieces of your life, solving that puzzle, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's the most wild thing to me about being adopted is how everything is such a puzzle. Like, you know, people, my friends, like they know everything. They know happened in their childhood. They know this person, they know that person, they have someone to tell them. But for me and lots of people like me, everything's a puzzle to put together and you never really actually know what the information is. And I guess we can't have access to it if we can find like files and stuff like that. But can you imagine, like, for most typical people to have to piece their life together by some files?
No,
like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, that's why adoptees are such good investigators.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I wish somebody would hear this and try to find your files too. It makes me so mad you don't have access.
Yeah.
To figure this out.
I'm sure I can figure it out. I haven't put a lot of energy into finding them, but.
Well, you have two, you know, you have a baby and a toddler. Like,
good luck.
I wish I could hold your little baby. I've been dying to hold a baby.
Well, if you're ever in St. Louis, she likes being held.
We literally, you're like apologizing for hearing him. I'm like, oh, baby, just hear. I love that noise.
Yeah, I was like, I can't tell if they were like happy noises or like sad noises because sometimes it's just like blending together. But
well, this has just been incredible. Thank you so much, Mikayla.
Thank you.
Guys. I love what you guys are doing, and this is amazing to give, you know, people a platform to talk about their stories, and I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you, and we're going to stay in touch with you and follow you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.